Hello and welcome to another Overlord lore video, and today we are going to take a closer look at the invasion of the Re-Estize kingdom by the Sorcerer Kingdom, and specifically what kind of strategy Shalltear Bloodfallen had come up with. For sadly this was not in the anime, but just the insane amount of overkill I came to expect from Overlord. But before we are going to take a closer look at the strategy the Bloody Valkyrie came up with, let's take a closer look at my Patreons and thank them for supporting this channel. Furthermore, I say thanks to all users of the YouTube thanks function who made one-time donations. Now with all of that said, let's take a closer look at the invasion. And Einzelgon, as seen in the 9th episode, actually strongly encouraged the Floor Guardians to bring in own ideas, plans, and strategies. Because after Cocytus' loss at the hand of the Lizardman in the first Battle of the Lakes, he learned a lot. And therefore, even if the newly dreamt up strategies would fail, this very failure would then provide an opportunity for further growth and the improvement of one's plans, while easy victories against a lackluster foe would only invite complacency and arrogance, which would be highly detrimental when later confronted with an actual threat, equal or even above Nazarick. And while I hope that the strategies of some of the Floor Guardians will be still in the anime, Shalltear's death bombardment sadly did not make the cut, and likely isn't going to either. Now, the Bloody Valkyrie, after her own defeat at the hand of Ainz and the mind control prior to all of it, has now redeemed herself and was still eager to improve, adapt and overcome. And that's why she invented something I call the death bombardment. Simply speaking, instead of trying to take on cities and settlements, the very way the people within it would expect enemies to do, namely by marching towards it and then showering the attackers with rocks, arrows, spells and ballista bolts, which in the case of the triple-walled city of Irantel would be a very advantageous situation for the defenders to be in. Just as an example, Shalltear wanted to attack from an angle that is mostly unexpected, namely above. While casters with the ability to use the fly spell are able to move in, their numbers would still be small, and aside from infiltration and assassination, any force of magic casters could even be dealt with by ground forces, like ground-bound casters or archers. But wait, there's more, because destroying the defender's defenses leaves a victorious unit with, you have guessed it, destroyed defenses and destroyed infrastructure that they now had to rebuild themselves. And Shalltear also found a way to deal with this structural damage simply by dropping Soul Eaters onto the unsuspecting population. I know what you're thinking. They're using undead horse bombardments, but they would still incur fall damage, right? So how is any of this going to work? And it's quite ingenious, to be honest. See, Soul Eaters, as the name would suggest, can devour the life force of enemies weaker than them in order to heal themselves. So as long as the fall damage is not instantly deadly, the Soul Eaters, once they are safely on the ground, can immediately start to absorb the life force of the town's population. And while some soldiers might be too strong to be sucked dry by the Soul Eaters, this isn't as much of a problem as you would think, because even if the Soul Eater faces a peer foe, or even several strong enemies, they still can absorb the life force of weaker people around them. So the citizens who would normally stay well behind the front lines are now used as potions for the undead horses, thus granting them immense staying power and vitality, actually allowing chivalry to hold ground very effectively. And if they break to the line of confused, surprised and likely scared first defenders, which is very likely given that the Soul Eaters were dropped within the town, well behind the actual front line, then they can wreak havoc just by riding through the city streets, killing all of those soldiers and military personnel deemed unfit for the front line, but capable enough of supplying it. So effectively, the Soul Eater bombardment Shalltear came up with is like dropping a neutron bomb. It kills the living, while leaving the infrastructure of a city almost completely intact. Now I say almost because in the 14th novel, one Soul Eater crashed through the roof of a house, and while the little pony actually managed to survive even that, albeit barely, It was now stuck and therefore unable to ride out and replenish its health pool, meaning that if the defenders managed to just render the Soul Eaters immobile and then set up a perimeter, thus preventing weaker people from wandering into the Life Eater zone, then a normally surefire way of taking over an entire city can be stopped with relatively few losses of life. Furthermore, while dropping Soul Eaters onto cities, Shalltear also confirmed that there is no air resistance in the world of Overlord, which also explains why flying is fairly easy and way faster for human casters than it would be in our world. And without air resistance, just dropping anything from high enough would turn entire cities, armies, or nations into dust. So at this point, Nezarec has now also unlocked the technology of orbital bombardment. And with that said, I say thank you very much for watching and special thanks to Bad Guy Ye, Bad Burrito 316, Beezer, Ben C, Brandon D, Chrissy, Crowley 0221, Sia, Crystal Prime, Dead Slime, Death is Mercy, Deathless Dragonlord, Demon Xenomorph 1987, Devin Downen, Ding Dong, Duckwagon, Dystopia, Dystopia II, Enigmatic Unicorn, Feral Shivan, Guy with That Head, Hector Marino, Hoss, Huster, Jacob G, Jana B, Jason, J. Morris, Chromius, Kylar, Legendarius, Lelouch Britannia with a Mustache, Lexus Fox, Lord Nishikian Rai, Lord Touch Me, Merovec, Mr. Shoes, Mr. Tweaker, Michael R, Michael Y, Nope, Oh Hell No, Normal Toad, O'Kill, Overlord General Gasper, Patty Pentum, Personage, Primus 11, Cune Caracos P, Shergox's Daddy, Shadow Lightning Wolf, Shrine Keeper, Super Tier Magic Batista Bomb, Supreme Cheese, Staris, Ted, Texas Deer, The Orc Warboss, Rocket Smasher, T.E. Wang, Vashorkai, Vegito 27, Venture Fanatic, Wilhelm and Zonegon. Thanks guys. Anyway, have a nice day and I hope to see you all again soon on my next video.